Hi, my name is Rebecca Finlayson, and this is my Luna project on transgender individuals and society. This is for Creative Writing 101 at EMCC. So what this project is basically about is this project explores the treatment of transgender individuals in the U.S. Using the novel Luna by Julianne Peters as a lens. And the main questions I'll be answering will be how are transgender individuals treated in society, and why are they treated this way? Before I start, I do want to preface I am not a transgender individual. However, I have been studying this book for over a month, as well as reading other articles and watching other educational videos regarding this subject for about a month now on the EMCC campus guide and library. So let's dive in. On this slide, we talk about the challenges faced by transgender individuals, and it goes down a whole list of mental health challenges, bullying and harassment, family rejection, access to gender-affirming care, discrimination in education and public life, like restrooms, etc., restaurants, whatever, and safety and constant worry of something bad possibly happening. Transgenders face a lot of challenges and that can seriously affect their mental health and overall well-being. And we see those many struggles through Luna's experience in the novel by Julianne Peters. And like in many real life, trans teenagers and Luna struggle with the type of depression as she tries to live her life, but the truth is in the shadows, and the world keeps pushing it back and not accepting of who she wants to come out as. She tries to hide her identity during the day and only feels like she can be her true authentic self during the night. And that shows the fear of rejection. And that can take a toll on someone mentally, not feeling fully accepted. Luna also faces bullying and judgment from peers and strangers, and even her own father at home, who's supposed to be the one that is kind of there to support her, as he chooses to refuse her gender identity. These mirrors in many ways how transgendered individuals, as also seen on by Weber, as they go through their families rejecting them instead of offering love and support that typically happens. Luna's difficulty in finding safe spaces and access to affirming care also highlights how society often fails to protect and support transgender people. Her story helps us understand the emotional and physical struggles as transgender teens face every day. And this is all backed up by Weber. Is so crucial to understand the dilemmas that they face not only physically but mentally, as you never know what's going on behind closed doors, what they allow you to see. And no one should ever feel like they are not fully accepted by loved ones, let alone society. Um, so those are the challenges faced by transgender individuals. Luna's challenges. Um, in the novel, she faces many challenges, and I picked three that I felt were one of the biggest. The first one is the fear of coming out as transgender. She hides her true self from everyone except her sister Reagan, and she only feels safe expressing her true self at night when no one else can see. Luna also experiences intense gender dysmorphia, um, and emotional pain constantly, feeling like she's trapped in the wrong body. It causes her to feel isolated and depressed. On top of that, her father completely rejects her identity, calling her names and refusing to accept who she is. By pushing more of a masculine role on her when he starts seeing some changes. His lack of support only makes Luna feel worse about herself and adds to her mental health struggles, as maybe she might think like, oh, maybe I'm not supposed to feel this way, when really that's not the case. These challenges show how hard it can be for a transgender teen to feel accepted and supported, especially by the people who are supposed to care about you most. And these are the challenges Luna faces in her story. Coming to terms with identity. The main character, Luna, slowly handles her challenges and begins to accept her identity as a transgender girl with the help and support of her sister, Reagan. Reagan is the only person Luna feels safe around, and even having that one supportive person makes a huge difference in their journey. It helps. This help is shown also to those who choose to transition in the documentary Growing Up Transgender, as it shows that it's important for a transgender youth to have someone they can trust in their real life. Many trans face a long and difficult path of self acceptance because of judgment, social pressure, and the lack of understanding and support from family and friends. Just like Luna, they may be struggling with fear, confusion, and self doubt before actually feeling confident with who they are. The novel and documentary show how support can play a huge role in helping transgender individuals come to terms with their identity. On this slide, we're talking about integration to society. One of the biggest steps Luna took is towards living as her true self by dressing as a girl in public in attempts for social transition. This is a huge moment for her as it comes with a lot of fear and risk take. For example, even as something as simple as going to the mall dressed as a girl is a big deal because she knows people might stare, judge, or even say something cruel. But this reflects into real life as many experience those same exact feelings as a transgender teen who face ridicule, harassment, or even physical danger just for trying to live there authentically. For Luna, every step towards being seen as her true self in society is filled with anxiety, and that same struggle happens with many trans youth today. However, Bianchi states that it shows up as an ally by not being judgmental or pushing their boundary, but just to support and love their decisions and how they choose to represent their true selves within their time instead. So with integrating into society, the best thing to do is to hold their hand and tell them it's okay and to allow them to make themselves on their own instead of pushing them in. Because there is a lot of anxiety and pressures that go on with it. In the story, it is told from Reagan's point of view, but we still get a strong sense of Luna's personal struggles and experience as a transgender individual. Luna feels like she's living a double life, hiding who she is really during the day and only expressing her true secret at night. Even though Reagan supports her, Luna still feels incredibly isolated and scared of how the world will see her. This mirrors how many transgender teens go through in real life. Norwood states that many of them rely on outside support like LGBTQ plus groups, school clubs, or online communities because they don't always have family and friends who understand. From Luna's perspective, it's clear how important it is to have space where you can be yourself without fear, for many transgender individuals, even having one place or person where they can feel seen and accepted can make a huge difference in their mental health and confidence. This is why support systems are so important to have at schools or anywhere public, so therefore those who don't have support can have support and they won't struggle as much. And that is the key because no one deserves to struggle. Now, leading on to the next one, which leads into that struggle, is the mental health and safety concerns. Luna shows how deeply being rejected and misunderstood can impact a transgender person's mental health. Throughout the novel, Luna struggles with depression, anxiety, and identity-related stress because she feels like she has to hide who she is. She deals with constant fear of being judged or hurt if she isn't honest with her identity. This backs up in the World Health Organization as it reflects a reality for many trans youth in the US who often face high risk of suicide, self-harm, and serious mental health challenges. These struggles usually come from being rejected by their families, bullied at school, or even not feeling safe by public. Like Luna, many trans teens are forced to deal with these pains experienced and simply trying to live as their true self. Her story highlights how dangerous it can be to live without acceptance and how urgent it is to create a safe, more supportive world for transgender individuals. Like this story, there are some causes that are worse where they can't even go out of their house because of the neighborhood that they're in won't accept them and puts their life at risk. And again, it goes back to nobody should struggle, nobody should feel like their life is at risk just for being who they are. That is not okay regardless of how you identify. Those serious threats in mind, we're going into how handling challenges in the U.S. Like, how does the U.S. and how does the government protect transgender individuals? Elliot Page describes transgender individuals in the U.S. face challenges due to the various laws, school policies, and limiting access to mental health support. While some states protect transgender rights, others have passed laws to restrict them. School policies differ, with some offering inclusive support and others leading to discrimination, and not allowing them to dress how they want to dress, by having a strict dress code. Many transgender youth also struggle to find mental health care, which can worsen issues like anxiety and depression. These disparities need to be more consistent with protection and support for transgender individuals. Like, I have care, everybody deserves care, and this is how the US handles it. However, it does vary state by state, and school and regulations are different depending on the districts and state laws. Now to my own personal opinions. I believe that society should have better support to trans individuals. There should not be a state varying law where trans people don't feel accepted in one area of the country versus another. Same thing with schools. I feel like that is ridiculous, as in someone who identifies as girl can't be let into a girl restroom. However, they don't feel comfortable going into a men's restroom. They need to be able to have their own care and be able to be okay with how they identify without the constant struggle of safety and the worry of what's going to happen to them, as well as who's going to accept them and don't. They also need to increase education on this topic for everybody in the youth, so therefore they are understanding of it without building uneducated opinions, as well as building acceptance and guaranteeing access to affirming care, as well as showing them as well, because trans teens may not know a lot of information, telling them where they need to go when they do feel this way, so therefore they can get the help that they need. Families and schools must be proactive in creating a safe environment, like PTSA, like knowing that this is happening in your school and what can you do to make sure that there is not neglect towards that individual, as well as discrimination from peers, because no one wants an isolated child with a bad mental health because of the isolation. This is a call to action not only for myself but for you, to promote inclusive education for all students and ages, so therefore everybody knows the struggles of transgender identity and also how to help those around you and the best ways to do it. As well as starting young in schools to create LGBTQ plus programs, therefore no one feels isolated and not accepted for who they truly are. And then lastly, to challenge the harmful stereotypes and be against discrimination, stepping out of the comfort zone where, like, if you see something wrong, say something. Correct correct the double standard, again, break the harmful stereotypes, because how people act neglecting transgender individuals is not okay. Um and yeah, going back to um what was discussed about the transgender individuals. These are the sources. Again, I am not a transgender individual, however, have been studying this exclusively by reading the book Luna, as well as reading articles, as well as watching educational videos at our EMC campus and online library to become a credible source to talk about this subject. Thank you for watching.